I think deaf culture is number one. You learn my companion that taught me ASL stressed it so much. You learn the culture before you learn the language. I think that applies to a lot of languages. If you know the culture before you get into learning the language, you'll learn the language so much more effectively. Communication in deaf culture isn't about grammar. It isn't about syntax and all these things. It's about culture. It's about can you communicate effectively? Can you be clear with what you're trying to say? And for every deaf person, the way they sign is different, and no two people are going to sign the same. They all come from different backgrounds and different ways of signing, so it's going to be different. And so to have say this is the right way to do it and this is the only way to do it, you're just not. I mean, that's just being arrogant, and you won't be able to communicate effectively. The deaf culture is a culture within our the American culture. I mean, they're very tight knit, and they help each other a lot, and they assist one another. And there's different spectrums of where they're at. Some are very this is the way to be, and we're going to exclude ourselves from hearing people. But I think most, and generally, you would find that it's a very give and take. We're trying to be a part of everything, and have friends that are hearing and not only deaf friends, and be involved in a unified culture. I think that's what most try to strive for. I think learning about how they can communicate and how they interact with one another is really important as well. It's a different language. And I can talk through glass kind of thing with sign language. Like I can talk across the room without bothering anyone. And so there's parts that bleed over into the culture, and parts of that are really, it's a very, because sign language is so open, eavesdropping, for example, isn't really a thing. Like you can just watch someone's conversation and then it's normal. It's not impolite to say. They're more open, which I think is great for missionary work. They're very blunt and bold. I remember, so the missionary or the members feed us really well on the mission, and they like to feed us a lot. And I gained a lot of weight on my mission because of that. And I remember one, I think it was 3 in one day, deaf members that said, "You're looking really fat, Elder. Like you're." That shirt's not quite fitting quite right. It looks like you need a little less, and they'll just tell you straight up, and they won't beat around the bush. And I really love that about the deaf culture. There isn't this you have to be smooth with your words and tactful. I mean, there's tact, but it's still very bold and direct, and I love that. And when you can teach with boldness. I feel like I feel I was a lot better as a bold teacher in sign language than I was in English. I care a lot about tact and how people perceive me, but it's not as important in communication in the deaf culture. And I really like that. If we noticed someone was not following their commitments, we would tell them, and we wouldn't say, "Oh, hey, I noticed this beer can laying around. What's that about?" Like you would say in English, goes, "Hey, you're drinking. We talked to you about that, and maybe we can help you to stop and stuff like that." Or and they're honest with us in return. They'll flat out say, "Hey, we're not interested anymore," or things like that. Or they, I really appreciated that, and I think that's sort of something that's hard for people going into the deaf culture that aren't familiar with that to accept and to feel comfortable with.